because it's pitching a fit. Okay, here we go. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because I got nothing tonight, honestly. Tired, I had a long week. I'm drinking watered down orange juice in order to hydrate myself after having a week of drinking powdered Gatorade. I haven't been drinking powdered Gatorade like it's the cinnamon challenge. No, I've been mixing it into water. Don't worry, I'm not a complete idiot. This week, although you wouldn't know it. I've just gone on too long for that one. The joke's gone. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi, good to be back with you. At the moment, my only co-host is out there in the Midwest of the U.S., where it's not hurricane season over there, but damn if you wouldn't know it by some of the storms that can roll through. Brigid Fitch, good evening.
Good evening. I am drinking black cherry flavored lemonade.
That, okay.
It's actually pretty good.
Black cherry flavored lemonade.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're talking fruit punch is what you're talking about, because that's no longer lemonade.
It's lemonade with black cherry.
Oh. I've had too long a week for you to do. Now, to make sure that everybody's aware about this, I was not made aware of this before the show, so...
Well, it's a powdered drink mix, but it is country time lemonade black cherry flavored.
It's powdered fruit. You know what? Whatever.
It still tastes very lemonade-y.
Yeah. I remember when Country Time used to come out, when you could still easily get, the frozen concentrate and see the advertisements on TV, and remember those days. I'm old. For those of you that are wondering just how old, go look up on YouTube, Country Time Lemonade Concentrate. You'll see the adverts from around early 1980, I think. I don't remember where it was. Doesn't matter. It's out there. You can find it. Trust me. I know. I looked it up. That's why I know that I'm old.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I am gonna kick you all the way in your Bartles and James. Don't you start with me. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. Otherwise, I'm going to start talking about the thongaphone that I got to play at work this week. And no, it's not what it sounds like. I played Those Endearing Young Charms. For anybody that doesn't know what that song is, you know what that song is. Trust me, you know what that song is. You want to find it? I put it up on my my personal Twitter account, I'm pretty sure. So you can find it in there. Anyway, hi. Good to be back with you all. Feel free to join us, of course, every week, or mostly every week, because that's what we're here to do. Entertain you. You people just scraping away the showtime. So. Hi. No, I'm not drinking coffee tonight, because that does bad things. I don't like going to sleep at 4 in the morning. Or 5. I'm not liking those nights. But if you join us, you can be part of the live chat over there. Stephanie, good morning. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, of course, as always. Seeker, you made it. Hi. You're getting here early. I'm flattered, to put it mildly. I'm just always good to see you. Julia, a new name. Welcome to the place. Hope you have yourself a good time. And yeah, I'm getting I'm getting moral support from Stephanie. I'm with Shujin on the quote lemonade. Unquote, period. So there. I accidentally hit the mute button. That's what happens. I
It's
have
pink lemonade did that.
pink lemonade is still lemonade. It's mutant lemonade, but you know what? That's fine. Fine. It is what it is. So yeah, like I said, I've had a couple of days where I've just been burnt out because of just working really, really hard. So the last couple of days have been really, really, really tiring, just physically tiring, and it, it is what it is. Here I am. I'm doing my thing. And oh, that's right. I don't think I shared with all of you guys. And Brigid, I know I didn't share with you. One of the guys that I work with has told me how to deal with the frustration of the people who don't understand the whole concept of wait your turn. Because it tends to be people who are of the older echelons. The boomer plus category. You get where I'm going with this one. Because the person pointed out, look, all these people that keep pissing you off, just remember this. They're the ones that grew up with lead poisoning. That's why they act the way that they do. That answers so many questions. And I fully embrace that expectation now.
Good point.
The fact that I swallowed some gasoline when I was trying to siphon some back in the 70s to help my dad out, it's got nothing to do with it. I'm pretty sure I did. I don't really remember that much of the 70s, so whatever. I was a kid. Whatever. It's what you did, back when you didn't have locking gas caps and stuff. You had your 12-year-old do stuff like that for you. What can I tell you? It's the way it is. No, it's not. It's not the funniest of anecdotes that I've had for the night. It hopefully will not be the funniest that I'll have for the night, because that would be disappointing. But it is what it is. We'll go with there. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Oh, and Secret is saying, Judy, it's a nice little change of pace. Wait for the horrible scopes. Bless you, my son. I appreciate that greatly. I didn't get very much of a reaction when they premiered last night with the folks until I got to one specific scope. So we'll see. We'll see where it takes us. We'll see where it takes us. So how about I get things rolling, and we'll get over to the horrible scopes as quickly as we can, shall we? So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. And I'm going to do as I always do and give you what the title of the 5-minute freestyle is this time, but I'm going to give it the proper gravitas that it deserves. Cowards. Yeah. And I'm gonna blow my load early on this one. You fucking cowards. And I say that with all the vitriol that's left over in my big toe. When I go out somewhere, and it doesn't matter where it is, if it's a commercial establishment, and there are signs, especially outside, and the fact that these signs have to be out there in the first place boggles my mind. No solicitations. It's a simple thing. It's our house. You are a guest in our house. Don't go, doing, we're not a platform for whatever it is that you want to, bring people into the mental notice of. The fact that this is the kind of thing that has to be put on the front of a commercial establishment, that boggles my mind in the first place. I mean, it's not your house. Don't So the fact that I went into a commercial establishment, a place I've been to before, several times in the past, and yet again, I find stuck in the gap between the wall and the air dryer for your hands after you wash your hands. So yes, I'm in the lavatory, the water closet, the privy, the shitter. And somebody has stuck, yet again, one of these little folded up Bible things. Know how God loves you. With all the nice curly scripty kind of title on the front, and the blues and the grays of the clouds on the front, and the nice gold and blue color for the lettering. And what, guys, no, just no. The last time it was a Chick Track. The last time out it was Chick Tracks that was in there. And I'm gonna say the same thing. You're a bunch of cowards. Not because you put it in there, because that's sneaky. It's dumb as hell, and it's disrespectful, but it's not the part that makes you the coward. The part that makes you a coward is that on the back sides of these things, there are spots where you can put the information for the congregation that you're advertising for, because that's what it is. It's an advertisement for your congregation. You could get some of those freebie stickers that, return address envelope kind of things that always make the rounds. Or I don't know if they do that anymore. Could have had made a little, rubber stamp to, do a whole bunch of them in one shot. Dink, boom, dink, boom. Could have written it out yourself. But no. No. You got to try and do the whole, I want to, well, depending as to which one it is, I want to scare somebody into becoming some bizarre version of scared Christian. Or I want somebody to become the person who feels loved by being part of the Christian group. You don't even have the temerity to make attention to who you are. You bunch of cowards. It says in your own damn book, don't be out there on the street corners. Don't be out there with a cupping your hands around your face and yelling and proselytizing to the people on the streets. Don't be doing it out there to all of the strangers just because you think you can. Go into your own closets. Do it in private. Pray to your Lord and the Son, and do it for yourself, not to try and do some kind of performance. You're doing a performance. Any moral certitude that you think that you had for trying to bring people in by scaring them or making them feel that now that they're in their lowest point, there's a place for them. You're cowards. You're fools. You don't even know what your own damn book tells you. Die in ignorance because you've lived in ignorance, and I, for one, couldn't care a whit more when I've thrown every damn last one of them out that I've found. Screw you all. It's not common for me to get, really angry for a freestyle. I'm definitely not channeling Heretic Woman by any stretch, but man, I feel her influence all the time when these few come up like this, because God, for those of you that have never been with us for some of the earlier episodes, Heretic Woman, little 4-foot nothing redheaded bitch that she was, she would tear ass into somebody that richly deserved it, and the rest of us would just lean back, cross our arms over our chest, and just watch and see what was going on. Aren't you going to save that guy? No, no. Because we knew sooner or later there was going to be, oh yeah, and another thing. No, she's not done with him yet. So, no, we're not going in there to save him. She was good at what she did, wouldn't she?
Yeah. I miss her.
And she would be having a really good laugh and ready to tear into me for calling her a little 4-foot nothing redheaded bitch. Although she wouldn't disagree, she would just be tearing into me to get her height right, which, truth be told, I don't think it really much matters. She was little, and she was redheaded, and she was a mean bitch. And she'd be laughing and going, yeah, okay, I'll go with that.
I think she was about 4'11".
You know what? I don't care. Any opportunity to rile her up the rest of the way is fine by me. It worked out. Seeker is also put on over here. I always put him in the urinal and pissed on him, which is all well and good until you remember that somebody else has got to dig him out of the plumbing afterwards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nice and all, but I'd rather not have that happening to somebody else. Just my way. Just my way. And has also said, thinking about Heretic Woman, how long it's been. It's been yesterday in some ways. It's just something that's just not gonna it's another one of those things that's just not gonna heal really anytime soon. So we'll work from there. So as mentioned, yep, we should probably just go ahead and get on over to the horrible scopes because, well, a little heavy. Time to lighten the mood just a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Time for the horrible scopes. Those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. If not, you can just pick one, roll a d12, make it up as you go along. It really won't matter, but yet, if you go check out Heart of the Game Fredonia, you can see if they can sell you those d12s with all the symbols on them. What you got to do is just memorize what the symbols are, and maybe they'll sell you one. I don't know. They if they get enough requests, maybe they'll go ahead and they'll do a mail order sale, that kind of way. Just remember, tell them that Shujin Tribble sent you, and hail, hail Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. Yeah, we actually got a sponsor on that. There's no money exchanging hands in any way. It just asked him, can we actually mention you guys? You know what? These horrible scopes are actually funny. Yeah, go ahead, just list us this way. So thank you, Heart of the Game, Fredonia. We appreciate you. This week, it's time for post-disco kick in the music feels. So brush off your calf wrap wedges. Let's boogie. I don't even know if I got that right. Calf wrap wedges. I mean, we know what I'm talking about here, right? The big, whatever. I'll just get it started and we'll talk about fashion later. Aries, we're coming in strong. KC and the Sunshine Band's mega hit, That's the Way. I like it. From 1975. No, it's not post-disco. It is very much totally disco. With the simple 4 drum pattern, the swelling horn section behind the funky bass playing. This week, this is your new workout song. If you strut to it down the street, people will know you're a bad mother. And speaking as somebody that has been a bass player before, bass players do not get the chicks. They're not the cool guys. They don't get the respect they deserve. Please, respect your bass player.
Taurus. A lot of disco, a lot of R&B, a whole lot of funk. 3 words will pull you into the mood. Earth, Wind, Fire. Another massive hit from 1979 this time is Boogie Wonderland. Put that song on and just groove to the bass player again because it's a kind of sound that just deserves to be appreciated for a change. This week, put on that track, pop in your earbuds, close your eyes, and just immerse yourself in that track.
Unless you're driving, that's a
Yeah,
bad time.
then you don't want to close your eyes when you're driving.
Don't close. Don't close.
Don't do that.
Gemini, continuing to move up the years, you're getting a late great one-hit wonder from 1982. The group is Indeed, and the song is Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. We're making this one nice and quick for you. Go find and watch some episodes of WKRP in Cincinnati, specifically the pilot episode, and weep for the days when live on-air DJs brought people together to enjoy music. Oh, and the magic word of the day? Booger. It'll make sense. It'll make sense.
Cancer Moonchild. Something cool in the night for you, Cancer. Once upon a time ago, this song title spurred a drinking slogan, and it's still in use today. 1979's Ladies' Night by Kool and the Gang. Another great bass performance you should catch, but it slips by super fast. That sliding bass note just as the song starts just makes the mood. This week, surprise folks with something fun just before an inter-office meeting like coffee and donuts, or a suggestion to cut the meeting at 7 minutes, finished or not.
I'm pretty sure that whole let's just cut the meeting at 7 minutes, I'm pretty sure that one's going to be almost as well received as getting coffee and donuts.
Hey, I'm all for it.
I don't
Most
blame you.
meetings are a waste of time.
Most of them are. That's what inter-office email is for. And folks, IT folks, I want to talk with you for just a minute. Just bring it in here really close. IT folks, why haven't you written a script yet that disables the reply all function in Outlook? Why haven't you? Somebody should have written it in there. You've got script kiddies. You can do it. Just saying. Leo, bouncing up to 1983, here's a great synth-heavy beat from Denise Williams. Let's hear it for the boy. Doesn't use bass guitar the same way so many of these other songs do, but the lick is still pretty special. This week, go watch the video for this song, get an appreciation for the background dancer's skill. You could still dance like that too if you just get over yourself.
Virgo. Slipping back 1 year to 1982 brings us to one of the grand poobahs of funk and soul and R&B greatness on a level hard to overappreciate. The singer-songwriter this time is Stevie Wonder. And honestly, could we just stop right there and you'd be smiling ear to ear, right? But we promised a single song, so for you, go back and listen to Do I Do and enjoy all the happy brain juices you'll be getting from it.
Seriously, Do I Do is a really great track. Then again, Stevie Wonder. It's kind of hard to find a bad track from Stevie Wonder. Libra, switching gears in a big way, takes us to 1979 and one fabulous group that's regained attention years after their heyday. Shine a Little Love from the Electric Light Orchestra isn't their biggest hit by any stretch, but holy smoke, the engineering mix on that song is great. Just listen to that drum kit and the hi-hat. Seriously, if you aren't air drumming to this thing by the second verse, there is something wrong.
Scorpio, you're getting something a lot cooler, calmer, smoother, and it rounds out 1979 in a way that Smooth Brandy might do. It's the second time around by Shalimar. Seriously, it's just slick and groovy and just relaxes in a special way that's still inspiring. This week, enjoy something more in that range. Smooth.
Yeah, that's a great track. The second time around. Yeah, I know. I can't do it justice, but I'm not the worst singer in the world. I'm most assuredly not the worst singer on this list. Just
That would be me.
no, 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 no. Sagittarius? Oh, now dig this. You're getting the SOS Band's 1980 slammer, Take Your Time, Do It Right. Dig that bass line. Doop it doop it doop dup doop it doop it doop. It's on a synth instead of a bass guitar, but damn, that line just sings. This week, shave your chest hair, open 2 extra buttons on your shirt, and strut the week away. Please, 2 buttons from the top.
Capricorn. Look, we were going to give this one to Aquarius, but they're always thinking we've got it out for them, so sorry, not sorry. You're getting the 1981 hit, isn't the right word for it, musical release. The name is Walking on Thin Ice by Please Don't Hurt Us, Yoko Ono. I know, just come on, just be a bro for Aquarius this one time, okay? I mean, hey, how bad could it be, right?
You remember what I said about I wasn't the worst singer on this list, and you definitely aren't the worst singer on this list.
She would be the worst singer on this list.
Aquarius, never let it be said we don't pull strings for you. Because not only did we shift that song off of you, but you're getting Marvin. That's right, your song from Marvin Gaye is Sexual Healing from 1982. Yeah, it got a lot of attention for what his voice did to people across the FM dial back in the day, and it was worth it. He did a lot of music back before his untimely passing. So go down that rabbit hole and enjoy his catalog.
Pisces, you know this song, even if you don't know this song. Also released in 1982, you're getting Patrice Rushen's Forget Me Nots. Those of you that already know, don't give away the experience to those that don't know already. Trust us. You're going to think you know the song, but you'll be wrong. This week, rethink your preconceived notions and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil the surprise. So for those of you that don't know about Forget Me Nots, yeah, this one is totally on board. It is totally on board. Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, I've really stopped caring. But if you want to ask for something nicer or naughtier for yourself, someone else, you can go ahead and you can ask for it. What you got to do is just get in touch and ask, because I operate off of vanity. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Blue Sky? Question mark? Probably. I found out that I have the ability of getting HCTV over onto Blue Sky. So I think I'm pretty sure. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do that, because no, we don't have a huge following or anything, but it'd be kind of nice to branch out into something that isn't horrible. I guess is the nice way of putting that. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that.
And it isn't Threads.
And it isn't Threads, and it's not Mastodon, and I mean, we could conceivably set up our own, but who really needs it?
Or you can go on Spoutable or Post, and you could toot and skeet and twerk.
Be really interesting if I got over onto Truth. right before it shutters itself, which is very likely going to be happening in
Yeah, like September 6th.
This is episode 463 on the docket, Your Honor. Bell curves screw everything up. Now, I want you to know, I did earlier this week have an idea for a show, and it did involve bell curves. And as usual, I thought to myself, once I, had the idea in my head, I don't have to write it down. I'll remember. I didn't remember. Because of course not. So I'm taking this one out of the theist area per se, and putting us back into the statistics area, sort of, because it's going to make sense. No, you don't need to have an engineering degree or anything like that. Don't worry about it. We're going to be talking about an area of statistics that it's going to make sense once I kind of go down the way with this. And I promise you're not going to feel stupid about it. You don't have to do any kind of algebraic equations. Don't worry, we're not going to be talking about logs and tans, cosigners on a loan or anything like that. I don't remember what it means. I don't remember what those symbols mean. So let me give you the quick and dirty, and we'll kind of work on this. The bell curve graph, and we've seen this many, many times. You have an x-axis, horizontal axis, and it's supposed to be a distribution for something. And then the y-axis, of course, is another distribution for, well, typically for the number of occurrences. Usually. And the point of it is, you start off with one extreme where the numbers are very low, and then you get to the middle point and the bell perks way the hell up, and then you start heading down to the other extreme and the bell settles down, and again, kind of doesn't always completely match the beginning, but it's definitely not, still back up at the top. It curves down. Now, the problem with bell curves and the associated graphs that go with it, and the statistical layout of this, is that there are too damned many variables that go along with it, to the point where it makes a 2D bell curve graph almost meaningless, almost useless. But the problem is we've seen these used in a lot of different ways. And I want to kind of talk about some of this. Again, we're not going to go into heavy-duty math or nothing. A good portion of it is really going to be anecdotal. So, is this a filler episode? Not exactly, because it's good information anyway. But it's a little unusual for where we would otherwise be. Yeah, Seeker, give me grief over here. Seriously? Letters in math? Yes, and usually for me they're Dear John, so we're going to leave that aside and we're going to keep going on. This is the level of joke that I have. Low bar. They slide in here. Whatever. So let's start off with an easy one. Bell curve. How about we start off with one of the nicest ones that I can think of off the top of my head, which is religiosity. There are a number of factors that go into how religious a population is, and you go by different factors to try and figure out, well, first off, at what point are there very few who are religious, and at what point does the variable set change to where you have a much larger religious population, and then peters off to be fewer and fewer. Well, we can start off with age. As a youngin, typically you don't have any kind of religious beliefs, and then as you get older, the population increases in the number who are religious, usually. And then that bell curve kind of breaks sometimes. Sometimes it stays, flat and level after a certain point. Sometimes it, meanders a little bit, goes up, down, depending as to the age barrier. But we're seeing that bell curve finally changing, especially here in the US, changing from being a broken curve that comes up and then kind of stays at a point, wiggling around. And that tail end is curving down a lot more. And I think it's fair to say that the recognition of the population who are considered, quote, nuns, NONES, is really having a statistical effect on what that curve looks like. So, Brigid, the over the last call it 100 years, I think it's fair to say that, like I said, the bell curve for religiosity in the U.S. has absolutely been very much a bell curve goes up and finds its kind of peak level and kind of meanders around there and doesn't really dip down quite as much. I think it's fair to call it that, right?
Yeah, I would think so, but it's definitely trending downward.
Oh, it is now, absolutely. That's the thing that is becoming a really interesting part about that. Because as we've understood it, like I said, the nuns, NONES, not NUNS, who, by the way, they get pregnant once in a while. Imagine that at religious retreats. Don't at me, bro. The the inclusion of the nuns in these statistics is a really interesting thing because this is a fairly new phenomena. And I'm kind of wondering, what do you want us? Where would you like to kind of take some of that, the inclusion of the nuns and the recognition of the percentage of population, and how that includes the atheists now too?
I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but isn't it something like 24%,
Uh,
24, 28, something like that?
Something like that, including both camps, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly. Yeah.
but I'm just, lumping everyone together that are not religiously affiliated with anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Um, Now most of us understand that the term atheist, lowercase a, all right, atheist, is a term for someone that does not have a belief in a particular god. Some people extend it to be all gods. I very much don't fall into that camp. What, are you atheist? Well, in regards to which god? Well, yeah, I don't think that Thor is a real thing. I don't think that Zeus is a real thing. I don't think that, oh God, as appealing as the idea would be, I don't believe that Morgan Freeman is God. So, we'll go with that one. So that category of quote unquote atheist, non-believers, are exactly that. People that don't believe in a God. Brigid, would you be so kind to explain what the term nuns is actually meaning at this point? Because, like I said, that is a relatively new term. The last, what, 10 years maybe?
I would say people don't believe in a God or people that don't identify with any religious ideology.
Yes.
But I would also include in there, the people that say that they're spiritual but not religious.
The funny part about it is, you can technically, you can lump in there um, the Satanic Temple folks because they don't. Well, no. No. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of it in the wrong way all of a sudden. Sorry, I told you it's been a long week. Nuns at this point tend to be from a demographic that is kind of breaking out, especially in the age bracket. The ones who are younger, the ones who have been now. And when I say younger, I don't mean teenagers. I don't necessarily even mean 20s, but those who are in their 30s, especially, who have been around long enough to've listened, paid attention, and maybe they haven't necessarily lost their belief in a god, but they have definitely lost their trust in the organized religious group that they were been with, and have just decided, you know what? No, I don't want to be with the church anymore. I churches bullshit, and they're just a money grab. So I'm just gonna do my own thing, my own way, and just I'm not gonna be part of it all. Which is a good way to be able to sleep in on a Sunday, let me tell you. Of course, then again, we know full well atheists sleep in on Sunday most of the time anyway. Unless you go to Center of Inquiry for Sunday morning coffee and talk, and I haven't done that in a very long time, and it's like a 40-minute drive for me, and I don't feel like getting up early in the morning to drive 40 minutes before I've had my coffee to go have coffee. It was really hard doing it, but it was still pretty cool. And Seeker's got a good point. Not many asses in the pews anymore. Man, ain't that the truth? There's a couple good reasons for that. And the nuns happen to be one of those reasons. I'm perfectly happy with that. Stephanie's also got something else pointed out. I'm more interested in the number of people who actually go to services regularly. In the UK, that is under 10%. That's an interesting number. That is a very interesting number. Now, obviously, we got no way of confirming what the number actually is until and unless Stephanie decides that she's just going to go ahead and, well, fine, you don't want to trust me, fine, here's a number. Because she does that every once in a while, and I'm all here for it. I love it. But no, I'm not inviting you to go ahead and do that. Don't worry about it. I'm willing to accept your number just for argument's sake for the time being.
Ours is well above 10%.
But part of the thing also is that it doesn't give a full picture even with that statistic. Because just by going with the way that that's written out, what is considered going to services regularly? It could be once a week, for organized services, on a Saturday or a Sunday. It could be going to mosque once a week and still turning and praying to Mecca 5 times a day, which, as religious services go, all right, it seems a little excessive to me, but you know what? Okay, you're paying respects. I mean, when it's night, I have a tendency of paying respects to one of the stars in the sky for reasons. So, whatever. But with the older Catholics, and by older, I mean over my age, over 50, meaning the ones who are, slowly removing themselves from the gene pool through natural causes. It was not unusual to go to services in Roman Catholic, like 3 times a week? I know very well that Wednesdays tended to be one of those, midweek kind of go in and pray and light a candle, drop in money and light a candle kind of thing. Don't know why. It was kind of the thing. But as far as the number of people who are actually active in some of these old school groups, yeah, it's definitely dipped down. But I kind of wonder if some of those people have been picked up by some of the quote unquote younger churches, the ones who are a lot more civic oriented. And that's kind of making me wonder. Brigid, do you have any idea? I'm not asking you to pull numbers out of your ass or anything, but from what I've understood, okay, now what the hell is the name of it? The Universal Unitarians? Unitarian Universal, whatever it is, the UUs, the ones that we actually kind of mostly respect.
Mm-hmm.
Memory serves, those groups seem to have a tendency of, if not necessarily growing huge, definitely not bleeding people off like the old guards. Is that would that sound about right to what you've seen or heard or anything at all?
I'm not really sure. I don't think that they're dying off. I mean, that's for sure. We even have one here. And we also have a Hindu temple, which I was like, oh, wow, that
That's
was
really nifty.
interesting.
Yeah.
That was interesting. We don't have a mosque. That one's been burned down twice here. But we do have a Hindu temple, which was kind of unusual for this area. So, anywho, but we do have a UU church. And it's not a really big church, but there are always cars there. So somebody's going.
Yeah,
Even here. Even here.
which is actually pretty cool. Seekers also pointed out, wondering how the churches are staying open since the parking lots are empty. Tax dollars hard at work. Yeah, yeah,
Some of them are not staying open. Some of them are closing.
yeah, exactly. So, the ones that seem to be holding on, as far as I've understood it, and admittedly, this is more anecdotal than actual research at this point, are the ones who the I know full well that for me it's kind of skewed because of the Roman Catholic upbringing that I had. So I'm sorry for that. But the ones who have been attached, if you will, to having their own schools. Yes, they're private schools, but they have a way of acquiring an income that way. Although those have been teetering off quite a bit as well, because especially in areas where you don't have much in the line of disposable income, the public schools are as good, on par, or maybe even better in some ways than what the church schools can give you, which at one point it used to be considered the other way around, admittedly. But the Holy Roman Catholic Church is hemorrhaging districts and schools and real estate. Is fine by me. Whittle them away little bit by little bit. The death of 1,000 paper cuts is fine by me. But the reason why I'm talking about these bell curves is, like I said, they don't give enough context in and of themselves because there are just too damn many variables. So, with religiosity, we're starting to see the bell curve actually become a bell curve. But what the mitigating factors are is anybody's guess. Is it age? Is it education? Is it geographic location? Is it social upbringing? Is it monetary? Don't know. Don't know. There's just too damn many things that could influence where these pieces are. But bell curves have a good place for us to kind of get a real quick overview sample. But they're kind of hard to register on this. The incidence of diseases are another one of those things that have operated on the opposite direction. Because when you start to see how many infections of a certain virus have come along and have been recorded, and going through however many decades or hundreds of years even, and then you see that inoculations start in, well, let's give you an arbitrary of 1950. Trying to remember polio. That was 19. I want to arguably say 1950, just as a round number. It was sometime in the early 50s, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that curve all of a sudden just plummets off the cliff, and well, look at that. There's just nothing left. So the bell curve did take a long time because there had to have been who only knows how many original infections to bring up the curve, and things like smallpox, for instance, were very much prevalent. Okay, now I'm trying to remember. Smallpox, depictions of smallpox were in images of people dating back to ancient Egyptian art, if memory serves, going back, what, 7,000 years, 10,000? I forget exactly what the number was. But smallpox has been around for humanity for a considerable amount of time. And then all of a sudden, come the outbreak of the vaccine, come the 70s, just stops. And without knowing what the mitigating factor was, if you just have number of cases per year, okay, boom, it stops. All of a sudden, it just stops. Why? You have to put in the extra, otherwise you lose track. Now, the reason why this is so lame to listen to is because, and there is an actual reason why I'm bringing this up, we end up having people who talk whatever it is they want to talk about, and they will use whatever data they want to use, and they will spew whatever line they want to use, and leave out very important factor information. Partly because they don't know it, partly because they intentionally want to hide it. But when all is said and done, it still comes down to the same damn thing. Statistics lies. Data doesn't. You have to know what it is that you're looking for before you go getting your conclusions. That's something that really pisses me off. Because how many times have we gone ahead and heard every damned argument under the sun for why the Earth is God's favorite planet, and I hate the argument that the planet is only a handful of thousands of years old. I'm sick and tired of that. You said something about buffering? I don't. The audio stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Everything is going right on my side as far as I can tell. I don't know what's going on. And if you're still hearing me, that means that YouTube is lying. It's being a pain in my butt tonight. I don't know why. I'm Terribly sorry. Any case, so where I'm trying to go with this whole damn thing is there are things that have been in the news. There are God arguments that have been made. We've been on the receiving end of some of them every once in a while. But man, it's just I hate the disingenuous people that decide that they're just going to use just their cherry-picked amounts of data and don't want to give the context because they can make it happen. The Earth is 6,000 years old because we've got just one person, and then we got two, and then we got five. Only one woman though. That's all right. Doesn't matter. And then it's just a whole bunch of people who beget. And then get down to the end of it all, and it's just like, well, look at that, 6,000 years. Yeah, it's give or take. And it all started on a Tuesday, because of course it did. Without giving the context that, well, it all comes from a source that we really can't verify is true. The data comes from whatever, because I say is real. I'm looking at you, Andrew. No, I'm not gonna give his last name because he doesn't deserve to have his last name. His family has suffered enough with having him alive. Vaccinations don't work because I said they don't, because see, buy my stuff. Nice going there, Andrew. Excuse me. And it works in a different way. It works in a different way. These evangelical preachers who go up there on stage singing and dancing and claiming that they will cure everybody that comes up on their stage, and taking off their suit jacket, their hundreds of dollar suit jackets, and flap them around their shoulders and hit people over the head with them. And look at that, you're cured, walk off the stage, you're good. And they keep using the same techniques. They just don't give you all the information. For instance, and I don't remember what the guy's name was. Brigid, maybe you'll remember it. The one, I believe he is Indian by family. Always wearing these incredibly expensive, well-tailored, he's just fine dressed suits, sometimes white especially. And he'll be up there and he will have people brought up, and he's got a suit jacket, he takes it off, he's whipping it around himself, bang people over the head, look at it, fall down flat, flaps it towards the audience, a whole swath of the audience falls down backwards because they just do, and people are just, oh, look at this, healed, I don't feel any pain anymore, and it's all great, and oh, look at this, I can walk, without telling you that the people were able to walk before they got up on the stage. But that's not the reason why they were there. They weren't there because they couldn't walk. They were there hoping that they'd get their cancer cured out of their lungs or something.
Are you talking Benny Hinn?
That's who it is. That's the son of a bitch. I couldn't remember his name for the life of me. I couldn't think it. He's one of those sons of bitches. Take all your money and hope to hell you actually get something out of it. And one of the pieces they don't tell you is how much money the guy pulls in. Last I remembered, he ended up with tens of thousands of dollars a month, easy. Totally blows my mind. And the people don't pay attention to what it is that's going on with them. It's not exactly sticking to the theme title that I wanted to go with, but I'm hoping that the overall idea of just missing out on data is good enough. Because, like I said, it's been a tough week. I'm trying to hold it together with everything. I don't think that I'm doing a really good job. I'm sorry. Let me shift it a little bit, because there is something that again I could go ahead and I can mention about, because I teased about it last week. I think it's worth making mention to. Some of you who've been with us for a long time, and Brigid knows this one full well. There used to be one of our sister podcasts, if you will, in the Pantheon. No Religion Required. Good group. Bobby Carey and Ms. Ashley. Good folks. Good people. Really good people. Well, when they had No Religion Required, they were going to have a new and relatively untested pastor come up and join them and talk with them and have a kind discussion. And that turned into it turned into a running joke about it. And Brigid, do you remember who it was that wanted to have a discussion with him and be nice?
I can't remember.
Well, let's see how well you remember in a couple of moments here. Turned out that this upcoming young pastor wanted to have a talk with somebody that would be nice and gentle and not be rabble rouser, yelly screamy atheist group. And Bobby and Ms. Ashley, they were like, no, I got no problem with it. Come on. We'll have you on. We'll have a good conversation. We'll be mindful, we'll be respectful, we'll have a good time. Fine, come on. They passed. And, the secretary got in touch with him and tried to reschedule 3 times. Never happened. It just kind of became a joke about it. Imagine my surprise, just a couple weeks ago, this insane person, I apologize, let me take that back. This insane acting person decided that one of the things that they were going to do was to get a baseball bat. I don't remember what kind of tape they used, but basically duct taped the Bible to it. And they used it to bash in a Barbie playhouse, a larger Barbie playhouse, but a Barbie playhouse, because the whole wokeness of the whole Barbie thing, emasculating our men and giving our women unreasonable ideas to follow through with, and anybody that wants to be like that has got to be a witch in his congregation, and he's just not gonna cotton to that. Do you remember who it is yet?
I'm drawing a blank, but I know when you tell me that I'll be like, oh yeah.
He was the same one that yelled and screamed in his pastorly tent, his circus such. Greg Locke. He decided that it would be a good use of money to duct tape. I don't remember what kind of tape he used. Didn't matter. Duct tape Bibles to a baseball bat and go out there, buy a big old Barbie set and bash it on stage for all of his congregants, except for the ones who are witches, because he knows who they are, and he's going to expose them. Right as soon as his health care initiative goes through in the next 2 weeks. I may be mixing up my people here. Whatever.
It sounds a little unhinged.
Little bit. Little bit.
I
Steph.
had not heard about the Barbie house. I'm sorry, I hadn't.
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. At this point, yeah, he threw an absolute major shit fit because the Barbie movie was just so. I haven't seen it. I know nothing about it other than it has grossed a lot of money. It has grossed a lot. And Greg is all kinds of pissy about it. And I'm right here for it. Stephanie was asking, are US men that feeble? People who are named Greg Locke are, apparently. So, men in the US? I can't speak on all of us, but most of us are not, no.
We do have a good share of snowflakes.
We do. We do. We do.
It's usually, a Venn diagram with Trump supporters and snowflakes.
Yeah, it's a very tight circle on that.
Very tight.
It's very tight. It's not complete circle. There are some who, have had their concerns and, decided that, living is preferable to dying but being right. Um Seeker, I don't know about the actors and writers. Oh, okay. I understand now. Okay, sorry. Seeker was saying, not going to get any from me. Actors and writers still on strike. Sorry, because of the delay, I didn't understand what you meant about not going to see the Barbie movie. I've not seen it because I've not seen it. And I am fairly certain there would be ways of creatively acquiring the movie, but I'm not even doing that. So, I wouldn't do that. That would be wrong. But I'm fairly certain there would be ways of doing it. Just saying. I don't know, it's just me. But I love the idea that there are people who not only will ignore statistics, will ignore the math, will ignore the data on stuff, but will intentionally fudge information just to try to make a point, just to try to win an internet argument. And the reason why it's funny to me is because I've never fudged an argument. If I didn't have the right numbers, I didn't use them. Because why bother? And admittedly, I don't get into many internet arguments these days. I think I went through my phase and I pissed off enough people to leave me the fuck alone now. So I guess that's a win on my part.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, yay. Oh, yeah, by the way, Brigid, before we get done tonight, before we sign off entirely, I want I'm putting this on the air intentionally. But I'm not going to give I'm not going to give the full detail. There is somebody that heavily insulted me back when I made my original I'm an atheist call out on Facebook. And before we get done tonight, I would love to have you try to find out if the son of a bitch's Facebook page is still up and running and active. More appropriately, if to find out if he's even still alive. Because as you can probably imagine, he blocked me a long time ago. And I have since found the Facebook page of who I thought should have blocked me before, which was his wife at the time. But her profile now says singles. There's a little piece of me right now that is very much of the couldn't have happened to a better guy. Oh wait, everybody was a better guy, kind of thing. And am I a vindictive pain in the ass and a total dick sometimes? Yes, yes I am, and I don't care. So don't let me forget. I would like you to be my mole, try to see if the account still exists or something.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Um, uh, Seeker's still over here. Got in an argument with someone about not knowing that much about the movie. Told him how many commercials do you remember seeing? As soon as I see the pink or yellow, I block it out. Now, if you're talking about on, I'm still going to continue to call it Twitter because that's what it is, regardless of what the branding is. I have been blocking stuff on promoted ads on Twitter because it's fun to do it.
Me too.
Because it's amazing what happens when you stop seeing the same 10 adverts over and over and over again, and you start getting some more entertaining ones at least. So there's a thought. But, statistics are important. Data is more important. And we lay people normally don't have to try to figure out what that data really is. We are supposed to be able to trust people to explain what that data means. And this is going to sound like it's a big left-hand turn all of a sudden, but it's not directly, but it is directly. We don't have science communicators today the same way that we did when Brigid and I were growing up. In the 70s and early 80s, with newscasts, there were science communicators, there were science editors, people who actually read up on what was actually going on in technology and explained it to people in a way that made sense. So specifically people like, and I don't think that we can sing his praises well enough. And I don't think that Bridge is going to have any kind of an argument with me on this one. Carl Sagan. He had a
Yep, he
way.
was.
He had a way, didn't he?
Also did Richard Feynman.
Yes, he did. And they were very different personality-wise, too. Carl Sagan, Dr. Sagan, was very much more looking to give you the data without giving you the data, giving more to you that was dry, but giving you in lyrical prose as well. It was a really weird combination. And from what I can remember of Dr. Feynman, he brought it to you in a way that was almost like he was making a joke, but giving you the information so that you weren't bored by any stretch of imagination. You were there for the joke. You were there for the explanation of the joke, and explaining the joke didn't ruin the joke. It actually made the joke funny. At least that's kind of the way that I saw it from him. And they were really good. They were really good at what they did. Which, I mean, you specifically brought Dr. Feynman in, and I believe it or not, I wasn't even thinking about him. I really should have. Was there something in particular that for you just kind of clicked and it's just like, oh yeah, I remember this thing that he brought out, or maybe book or presentation or something that he did?
Um, I mean, not particularly. Put me on the spot.
Well, it's all right.
You
It's
know, he just had a way of explaining things that, that anybody could understand. And so you didn't feel stupid.
yeah, yeah. That's very
And
true.
it's really hard to do that. I mean, to know something so well that you can explain it in such a simple way. I mean, that's how you know somebody really understands what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think I think the most important teaching lesson that Dr. Feynman did, the most significant, the most um, dare I say badass moment was during the investigations and the dissemination of information that had to do with the space shuttle explosion back in 1987. The questions of what contributed to the explosion as it was lifting off. And it's still something that haunts me to this day. Because I was in high school at the time. And they were having discussions about, and everybody was up on, up on the raised platform, Diaz, long table, and all the people were there giving information to the people in front. And they were trying to figure out what pieces contributed to the O-ring seal that that failed. And I don't want to completely steal it from you, but do you remember what it was that he did and demonstrated his point for his findings? You might not. It was not exactly completely esoteric, but was totally on board for the way that he presented stuff, as I recall.
I did not catch that. Sorry.
What Dr. Feynman did during the investigations for what ended up happening to space shuttle. I forget. God, I forgot which one it was that exploded on liftoff.
That was Challenger.
Challenger.
I did not get a chance to see him speak on that.
The funny part of it was he didn't even have to speak on it. Part of what they were doing was discussing the weather at the time at the launch pad and try to figure out should they have aborted, should they have not aborted. And Dr. Feynman had a little ring of his own, about the size of about the size of your hand, made of the same material that the O rings were made from, and he had brought it with him, and he put it into his glass of ice water. And he put it in there for a little while, and people kind of wondering, the hell are you doing? And a little while later, he took it back out again, and he showed that this otherwise rubber ring, after being in the cold, not even freezing, because it's going to be a few degrees above freezing. He took it out, and it was so brittle it snapped. And he demonstrated that without saying a word. He just showed cold breaks. That's what happened. And I think that pretty well summed up the kind of personality he was. Stuff You can just see some of the things that you don't have to learn. You don't need to know what the material is made from or the chemical composition. You need to know that it's there. You don't need to know all of everything else. You just, here are the conditions. This is what it was. This is what it did. And I think he was really just amazing that way. It was elegant. I mean, there's no other word for it. And Seeker's over here too. Too damn cold. Or ring shrunk. I was at junior high in a fence, sitting on a fence, watching it happen. Teachers wanted us to go inside. Hell no, this is history, watching it come apart and fall back down. I'll never forget. Yeah. Yeah. But the problem is, you ignore certain data, bad things happen. It's kind of the same thing. I'm most assuredly not on topic the way that I wanted to be for this whole thing, and I'm sorry for that. I'm just really hoping that the idea that I'm really trying to get across, that we need to broaden what we look at if we really want to understand what's going on, unless you've got somebody that can really explain it in a way that you don't have to dissect so much to find out what you don't need and what you do need. We miss people like that, and it's hard for us to be able to dissect the data without having a degree in this stuff. I know. We don't necessarily need to exactly have a formal degree in whatever scientific area to understand stuff, but stuff that we can understand without it. We can go out on something that we actually do know something a little bit about. Brigid, um, the data about COVID infections. Now, I'm not going to ask you to go looking for them or anything like that, but there was something that ended up happening at one point through the, I don't even want to call it the tail end of, but as we were coming out of the hot and into the medium temperatures for the numbers, we used to be able to get information from Worldometer for each of the states in the US and territories and whatnot. And we would be watching that on a weekly basis. And as a matter of fact, it's still one of the things that when I open up all the different things that I need for the show, that's one of the pages that still pops open for me, even though I haven't really looked at it directly in a long time. But there was something that pissed you off on a massive level at one point, when some of the states decided that they weren't going to be forwarding that information anymore on a daily or even weekly basis.
Oh, yeah. Because it was kind of important to know what was going on, yo.
And I don't think that we can overstate how important that was. Or even at this point, because as we've understood it, infection rates, or let me rephrase that, hospitalization rates are on the incline, and we can only assume that infection rates are similarly on the incline at this point. But without getting accurate information from all the counties of all of the state, or all of the states multiple, how the hell are we supposed to know what the hell is going on, right?
Exactly.
So who would be getting that kind of information? Who would be utilizing data like that? besides just, Joe Schmo average user.
Well, I mean, I would think that the CDC would like to have those numbers. The NIH would like to have. I think that hospitals in general would like to have that information.
And then I'm sure from there, it would go down to more local groups. So clinics, especially free clinics, inner city clinics, especially, because I would assume that they would be ones that would be helping people that would be in the most need of assistance in healthcare and such. And then individual doctors, because if you know what's going on in your county, you can have a better idea for it. But if your county is not participating with giving the information, well, then
Yeah, how are you supposed to plan?
you can't. You absolutely can't. And that's the thing that kills me, figuratively speaking. Because if you don't have that information, all you can go with is what you see or what you hear. And if there's one thing that we've learned, why bother trusting everything that you can hear? And the stuff that you see is just a little speck compared to everything else. So it's data that's just left aside. Why? I'm trying to remember myself. I think I remember. Do you remember why some of these groups said that they were just going to no longer supply that information anymore on a timely basis?
I mean, Florida never did.
Yeah, there is that.
They just said they were going to keep track of hospitalizations and that's it. And then they didn't even do that. And I think their reasoning was it was just so many, they just didn't want to fool with it anymore.
And that could very easily be. Because I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that one of the arguments that we yelled about at the time was that they just didn't want to further panic the populace. Like that was helpful. Shit. I still remember when we saw the information about people that were driving from Alaska through Canada in order to get back to the US, and that they had a very specific drive that they had to take or they were going to get arrested and hunted down. In reverse, the two of those, hunted down and then arrested. And then deported, because that was great. Stephanie's got the thing. You're not supposed to plan. That's the point.
But hospitals need to plan. They have to have staffing. They have to have supplies and equipment.
And they have to look further ahead than just the next couple of months. And it's no fun business planning ahead for a couple of months, never mind, a couple of weeks. You've also got to look forward into what kind of training do you give if you're a teaching hospital? What should you be encouraging people to take specializations in, to encourage them to learn about? What students to pull in from which avenues? I mean, I remember just a couple of years ago, one of the things was that there was going to be a dearth of nursing for aged populace. And admittedly, it's been a couple of years now, but haven't heard anything about that recently. Because there's been other things that have been on our minds, like the entire burnout of the medical community. Thanks, folks. Because, yeah, you got to plan out for a whole bunch of other things, including, and let's not forget, planning for exactly these kinds of emergencies, getting practice in. Because, holy shit, I know full well FEMA runs tests on their systems every once in a while. They set up fake accident scenes and have people, test out and make sure everything works the way that it's supposed to. And I have to imagine hospitals do something similar every once in a while and test their people, in a controlled environment without a whole bunch of people to scare. But you still want to make sure that your people are still doing what they're supposed to do. Because for my favorite thing that I throw your way, it is relatively easy to accidentally kill somebody in a hospital by feeding them the wrong blood type because you didn't look carefully enough and hooked it up.
Or you were too lazy not to do a cross type on them and make sure that it matches.
Or pulling the wrong drug. Or not watching out for what drugs have got bad interactions.
Or getting a decimal point off and giving the wrong dosage.
After a certain point, you're expected to be able to just kind of run that whole thing in your head really quickly. What is it supposed to be? Micrograms to kilogram ratios or something like that. And how some formulas are for some drugs. Weight of the patient in kilograms equals out to however many multiples of whatever the drug is in milligrams or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every drug is different. And do you have to give it intravenously, or do you put it through the IV, or intramuscular? I meant to say, or do you have to put it through the IV, or can you inhale it, or do you swallow it, or drink it, or who knows what the hell? Something tells me I've gotten so far away from where I originally wanted to go that I can't even see where the piece is anymore. It's just become me wanting to rail and scream about people that don't want to be paying attention to actual proper data anymore. I can't say anymore because there are people who have just not wanted to pay attention to it for the longest time, but it's just that they're so loud now that why the hell even bother? I think it's going to be one of those. Or Stephanie, or if you're so innumerate, you think 0.7 plus 0.7 is 0.15. Yeah, there's something about doing a 36-hour shift where I can exactly see that happening. Can't imagine why. How long do some of those medical shifts go on in hospitals? They don't do 36-hour shifts anymore, do they?
I think some interns still do.
God. That's
And it's real common for nurses to do 16-hour shifts. which I just could not imagine.
No, neither can I. Neither can I. That's just,
I would be so scared of screwing up a med.
oh God, yeah. And you know full well, every once in a while, there's got to be just an opportunity to take a 20-minute break and just, you want to go ahead, you want to have something to eat, but you sit down, you close your eyes, and all of a sudden, somebody banging on the door, you fell asleep for half an hour, didn't even realize it. But of course, that would never happen. That would be wrong. Oh, Stephanie's correcting herself. No, sorry, 0.14. No. That's, I knew what you were going for, but still the idea that it would still be 0.15, yeah, that's far and away more believable. That you'd just gravitate towards the 5 or 0 just because it's quicker, it's easier. So like I said, I think I've kind of drifted way the hell too far out, and I need to make sure that I write down a little bit better and flesh out what I want to cover. Time out. So I'm going to say I apologize for skewing wherever the hell I ended up. It just is what it is, and I don't think there's any purpose in going much on this point because I'm too far out. I know the likelihood is that you got nothing else to add, but you don't really have anything to add at this point, do you?
I don't think so. I could go on about bubonic plague if you wanted me to.
No, wait a second. I thought that was something that was relatively easy to fix at this point.
It is easy to fix at this point, but if you look at the bell curve of when it started and when it ended, and you still have little outliers, every now and again in the southern US, you might have a little tiny outbreak here and there. But that made one hell of a bell curve.
Well, yeah, because
different times that there were epidemics of it.
I mean, yeah, because you kill a third of the population of the entirety of Europe. I mean, it's not something that you would normally, note in the bell curve of number of infections. Start really small, and then look at that, it keeps really constant. Of course, you need to add a second bell curve, which is number of funeral homes built to accommodate the new people that are dead. They didn't even bother with that at that point. Whatever. But yeah.
Well, they did mass graves at that point.
Yeah.
They had to.
And they did a lot of it by hand because what else was there? You got a good point. And yeah, just how that curve works without a hell of a lot more context. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. You saved it at the end. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's worth just calling it at this point and kind of go from here. So, guys, as always, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Hope that you had yourselves an okay time with us and you got something to think about for the week ahead. What that might be this time, I honestly don't know, but this wasn't my worst episode. I just can't think of one that was worse at the moment. So we'll kind of go with what we got.
Well, I gave you something to think about. Black cherry lemonade.
I'm gonna. Screw it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say it. I swear I'm gonna punch you right in your box. I swear to Christ. Live chat, guys. Thank you for being able to be here. That she gave you a laugh because I know full well I'm not doing it. So, Seeker, Stephanie, Guys, thank you. Who? Okay, no, wait a minute. Who was it that was here way the hell
Julia.
earlier? Julia. There you are. Don't know if you're still there because you haven't been typing, but if you are, I hope that we haven't totally disappointed you. Uh, Maybe you stayed long enough for the scopes. I hope. I appreciate it. Um, there are no lack of people to say a big ol' F you to this week. So you want to hit a couple of people? You want to list a couple of names? By all
I'm,
means, go right ahead.
I'm going to say Ron DeSantis for the way that you dissed President Biden. Couldn't even be bothered to meet him in Florida. Fuck you.
That's a good one right there. That's a good one right there. Because when all is said and done, memory serves, FEMA falls under the category of the executive branch of government. I'm pretty sure.
It does. And I mean, Biden was on it. I mean, Rick Scott, of all people, had the decency to thank Biden.
Yeah.
And tell him that he did a good job. And Ron DeSantis is 404, nowhere to be found.
He's probably trying on his next edition of white go-go boots. That's not exactly a deep cut, but some people are going to go ahead and look at, oh, Ron DeSantis, white go-go boot. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see with that. May I add one that is most assuredly not quite in the same realm?
Sure.
Because this one is going to be very much of the mean-spirited type. And I don't care. Mitch McConnell, your brain can just go ahead and fuck right off. Fuck you. I don't care that your handlers want to keep you out there while you're having a brain reboot for 30 seconds at a clip. You need to just go away. And when your brain finally relaxes enough to smooth itself out completely, I will not shed tear one. Go the hell away. Take Diane with you while you're at it. You're a walking corpse. Just go the hell away. And you know what the funny, ironic part about it is? If he did that, if he actually just fucked right off and left politics right now and did something nice for his family and whatnot, that would probably be the nicest thing that he could do for himself for the remainder of the however little long that he's got left on this earth. So I'm not a complete tool. No, I'm just going to leave it right there because I don't think I'm a complete tool. I'm just going to go with that. So anyway, yeah, we'll just go ahead and get ourselves on out of here. Thanks, guys, for being with us. Hope that you had yourselves a decent enough week because Lord knows I'm totally burnt out from part of this week. I told Brigid about it before we got started, and man, I need more liquid in me. I need a lot more liquid in me, but I'm trying. If you'd like to be in contact with us, please take a swing over to the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com. Yes, I'm still paying for it. Why? Because I can. That's kind of the way that it works. All of our contact information is over there. You can download the audio version of the podcast as well. If you'd like to leave a voicemail message or send a text message, you can do that. 859-HCTV-554, 859-428-8554. You would think after all this time, the muscle memory would set in and I'd actually remember it. Nope, it's never happened. I can't not look at it, and that's just kind of the way that it is. We'll be back next week, if all goes the way that it's supposed to. And I will try to come up with an actual cohesive topic to talk on this time. I know, I know. I'm trying. Maybe it'll have something to do with indictment days.
Ooh,
Multiple, because I mean, I think we're far enough into it that we can go ahead and start talking very specifically about, oh, well, there's this jurisdiction, and there's that jurisdiction, and oh yeah, was he ordered to turn in his passport yet?
not yet, but he should be.
Excuse me. I sure as hell hope so. But we'll kind of have to figure on that one for next week. Maybe we'll get some good information.
I want to do an over and under on whether he's going to skip bail, seeing as how he only put up 20%.
You know, the idea that someone who is supposed to be worth billions of dollars has to go to a bail bondsman?
I know, that's kind of fishy.
Just a little bit.
He's either planning on skipping or he's broke or both.
Why does it have to be just one or the other? Yeah, I was going to say. Could be one or the other. Could be two. We'll see. So we'll see what we come up with for you for next week. But in the meantime, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And this upcoming week is kind of a special one, because it was this upcoming week, very specifically on the 7th of September, 1988, that I met she who would become my wife, and hardly took any notice the first time that I saw her. Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everybody, as always, good night.